I did not kill that bird. I am not a bird killer. I did accidentally hit it in the gut with a golf ball and it limped around a lot and squawked a little bit, but it walked it off.
Tim wanted to kill the guy too, though, because we're on a hole in the middle of a hole, and the cart lady comes up, and the guy and his wife or whatever, whoever it is, they like drive over from a different hole right up on us, and I am in my backswing. He's like, "Sorry, but we want to order," and then I hit an errant shot and threw my club a great deal of distance, but
The ball.
I
With
did not.
You did not throw it at the guy.
I didn't, or look at the guy
yeah.
because I would have probably yelled bang as I was punching him in the face.
Congratulations on your restraint.
The issue was we can't tell if they had a tournament going on and we were just stuck in the middle of it, or if people just like to come out here on Sundays and play scramble. We're trying to golf and people are on our ass playing scrambles behind us. And I hate golfing like that. Like it's just this one motherfucker actually repeatedly, while waiting for us to take a shot, pulled out a fucking fishing pole and went over to the pond next to where he was and started fucking fishing, waiting for us to get off the green so he could hit. And I was like, why do I want to shove that rod and reel right up that man's ass?
That seems aggressive.
You weren't there. He did that a couple of
No,
times.
I'm talking about the guy with the fishing pole. I'm agreeing.
Oh yeah, that's how we took that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BTB Movie Club podcast. My name is Brian Larson. We hope you enjoyed today's movie discussion. Thank you for listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BTB Movie Club. My name is Tim Larson here with Ryan Malo and Brian Larson and Dan Sears to my left. Aaron Lashbrook, you guys don't know that he's to my left, but he is. Aaron Lashbrook from Port Huron. Matt Smith drinking a beer, hasn't watched the movie. Mike Wilden sipping something out of a coffee cup with birds on it. And Mike Hilty will be here in a minute. We are here to talk about movie number 200. Shit, I looked it up before. 225? Does that seem
235?
Yeah, 225
230.
a while ago. It was a really good movie. This is movie,
236.
this is movie number 235. It is Superman, picked by Brian Larson. Is it 236?
Yes.
Hey, Brian, why don't we talk
So
about
great start.
Superman?
We're doing great.
Thank you. Thank you for the constructive criticism. I don't think you mean that. Brian, it's your show. Take it away.
Well, gentlemen, thank you. I appreciate those who went out to the theater and dredged through the weather. I don't know what I was trying to say there. Thanks for going and seeing the movie. I appreciate it. There's no way I couldn't not pick Superman this week. Superman is, DC Comics, superhero movies, love them. I want DC to be better, and this is a new chapter in DC movies with James Gunn doing it. So very excited to hear what you folks had to say. I was excited to see the movie, and did all right worldwide at this point. I'm seeing it's reported 217 million worldwide. So let's see, who shall we start with? For those folks at home who don't know, Superman was created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Action Comics #1 was released in 1938. So this character has been around for a while. They've been some reboots and some rewrites and some fun stuff they've done with him. We've had movies going back, serials back in the 40s and movies back in 40s, and some reiterations of the character through the years. But this is a whole new ball of wax. We'll see what we do. We'll see where we go. Matt Smith, we won't start with you because unfortunately you were unable to make it to the theater. Dan Sears, you also were not able to see the theaters, but thank you both for being here. I look forward. I have a couple questions for you. So if you're going to have a conversation about Superman movie, you got to talk to the guy in the Superman t-shirt first. Ryan Malo. What did you think of Superman?
So,
All right, done with Malo.
I yield my time. No, I actually, so because we saw it in the theater, normally I'm watching on the couch or whatever Friday night and taking notes as we go and pausing every now and then. Didn't have that option. So today, this afternoon, I just sat down and tried to hone my thoughts, and I had quite a few. I got front and back.
Right.
Yeah. So try not to bore you, but I do want to get through a lot of this. So overall, I just felt like it had an interesting tone. I Superman comics. So I'm more of a Marvel guy, just from reading comics and definitely on the movie side. But I don't know, it's like a Cubs Sox thing. I'm definitely more of a Sox fan, but I love it when the Cubs win. And so if DC can get their act together, I would be more than happy with that. There are some DC things that I really love, Nightwing in particular, and Superman's up there as well. So, and so I know in the comics, Superman itself has, there's definitely some strange stuff in that world, in that universe. And it makes sense that Gunn leans into that. I think that's kind of more his style, where, traditionally, at least the Hollywood version of Superman has really not been that. It's been more straightforward. So I definitely expected some humor, but unlike Guardians of the Galaxy, Superman always had reverence about him specifically, and just kind of the movie as a whole. And I thought that this lost some of that. I'm no, I don't know, prude or whatever you said, but there was actually a lot of swearing that took me a little bit out of a Superman traditional film that I thought was just a little different. As far as casting, I got a whole bunch here. I thought the main three, Corn Sweat, I don't know how he, or Corn Sweat, I don't know how he pronounced it. Brosnahan and Holt all did very well. It took me a little time with Cavill to get used to that, even though now I really warmed up to it, and I think he did a great job. With Corn Sweat, I thought, like, I didn't have that right from the get-go. I was like, okay, that's Superman. I'm cool with it. Like, and I didn't think I would have that. Isabella Merced, she's fantastic in Last of Us, but I did not think she was a good fit physically as Hawk Girl. That just seemed, I try to, just let it go with where they're taking me. And I don't know, maybe there's different versions or whatever, but she's not a big person. And Hawk Girl in my mind was always a physically impressive person. And so that wasn't my favorite pick. Fillion is great, doing his usual shtick. I'm not that familiar with Guy Gardner at all. I knew some of the other, or knew. I was more familiar, I guess, with some of the other Green Lanterns. Had no idea who Mr. Terrific was going into this. So that should tell you where I'm at with DC stuff lately. But he kind of stole the show in a lot of ways. I think he did really, really well, and what they did with the character was fantastic. Anthony Carrigan, who was Metamorpho, love him in everything. NoHo Hank, Death in the latest, what is it? I almost said Jay and Silent Bob. Bill and Ted. Well, I'm on a roll. So Skylar Gisondo, thought he was a really good choice for Jimmy. The relationship with Eve, I thought, was really silly, though. Alan Tudyk, congrats to his agent for making sure that anytime there's a robot with a human voice in a movie, he is contractually obligated to play that part. Yeah. And he did great as always. The choice to have John and Martha as kind of bumpkins, I thought was really interesting. I hadn't seen that before. They always have this other demeanor to them. But I was fully on board. They weren't dumb people. They were just simple. And I thought that came through. I thought that's what they were going for, and that's what I got out of it. Wendell Pierce, love that guy, and I was he was good as Perry White. I like that they had the cigar, even though it's not lit, kind of like a J. Jonah Jameson of modern day. So then there was so I thought it was a really strange choice at the end to have Supergirl as like this bitchy party girl. I don't know. I don't have any strong ties or feelings, but I would think that the Supergirl loyal would kind of be unhappy with that. I don't know if Brian or anybody else has anything on that. Changing the crypto story and demeanor, I went back and forth. It was really fun sometimes when it worked, but other times it was kind of annoying. Um, Crypto beating up Lex had very much the same vibe as Hulk beating up Loki to me. And that was one of the times that I thought it was really good. And taking down the, when he's taking out the sensors and all that. One thing that I noticed, Superman rarely seemed super in the whole movie. I just felt like it's a lot of him getting beat up or kind of walking on eggshells.
Or angry.
Yeah. Or, just public persona wise, I would have liked an easy W or two, something that, I like the choice where the very first thing we see is him already losing a battle. And that's fine, but they never, in my opinion, really established, that he had things under control. They did in one area off camera, and I'll talk about that in a second. It did feel a little bit long. The other thing, I didn't hate Bizarro at all, what they did with him. But I kept waiting for Superman to figure out the video game sequence stuff and overcome that on his own. And he never really did. Like throw left when he thought it was going to go right. And that just didn't happen. I like the dilemma of having to save the country from invasion or a rift in the universe or whatever the actual term was. Here's the part. I like that he off screen stopped that the first time around and he didn't feel like he had to answer to anyone for it. I like that a lot, that it wasn't like he's an agent of any particular nation or government. He's just like, this was wrong. And so I stepped in. I did really like I think it's the second conversation with Kal-El and Lois where there's this alien fight going on in the background. And that's just kind of not of concern. Like that kind of helped create the world where it made it more believable that earlier there's a bunch of people just still hanging out in an office building, right? While there's this giant beast, fire breathing thing, and Superman and others are fighting it. It helped normalize some of that. Okay, so just last thing, I wrote overall, I liked it. I didn't love it. However, I do think that this is one that I may like more on subsequent viewings. I think it's one that I tried not to have specific, thoughts or I can't think of the word, but just how I thought it was going to go. And try to remain open, but even then, I don't know. It was a little off for what I was expecting, or maybe I just didn't quite get all they were trying to do. And I feel like, again, watching it again, there will be some more things that I really do appreciate what they did with it. So there you go.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. Appreciate that. There were a lot of things that you went through with this. One, the Supergirl comment. There's a 12 issue series out there that they came out probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I think. And it's written by writer Tom King, who it's called Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, I believe. And they are basing the movie on that character, so that they have from it. So I think that's kind of where they were going with that. And just the explanation, she goes and parties where there's a red sun and she can get drunk it's like teenage girl wanting to do something like that. I get it. So, but I enjoyed they introduced her and we didn't have to wait for 3 minutes of credits until they did it. They did it right there near the end. So
that's Brian, that was actually something that I was going to say. That felt like that was originally a post-credit scene, and then they, Warner Brothers were probably like, nah, put it in the movie, please, because nobody wants to sit through the credits just to get something like this. That's what it felt like. It didn't bother me, but I thought it was pretty enjoyable.
Yeah. And the post-credit scenes that they had, the one him and Crypto, there was zero need for that one. I mean, it was a cute picture and all, but I believe it's actually the cover of one of the books, like an homage to that, not an Easter egg. And then the final one, that was, I mean, it was a good scene. So, uh, Mike Wilden.
Jeez. I saw this last night after kind of just a long couple of days, and then I've been kind of on the run all day, so I haven't really gotten to collect my thoughts all that well. Generally, I really enjoyed it. I'm not, as far as comic book characters go and as far as superheroes go, I was never a huge Superman fan, mostly because, I mean, I've kind of come around a little bit the last couple of years because I understand a little more about him, but just the fact that Superman as a hero just has an answer for everything. So he's got super strength and he can fly faster than anything. And oh, by the way, he has laser eyes. Oh, and he has frost breath. Oh, and it's just like, okay. Um, so I kind of, Melo was saying that he didn't seem as super. I kind of liked, I mean, it seemed like it was a little earlier in Superman's tenure, I suppose. So I kind of liked the fact that he was struggling because that was always kind of my qualm with Superman is that he, unless he's facing people that basically have equal, from Krypton or whatever, he's kind of not struggling that much in a fight. Who's going to win this fight? The talk is always who would win between Superman and whoever. It's always Superman. It's like, well, okay. So I kind of liked that. I found it interesting that like they kind of I mean I liked that they already had the world kind of built for him. They didn't have to go through the landing and the growing up and everything. They kind of just flashed back to that point. I really did enjoy the beginning where it was like, you know, 3 millennia ago, 3 centuries ago, whatever it was, 3 hours ago, that and when they did that progression. I like that. Just like, all right, here's to catch you up. There's where we're at. Good. Um as far as Corn Sweat, was that how we say it? I thought he did great. I thought he was a really good Superman. I did actually really like Cavill's Superman, so I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch this again, but I did think he did a good job. Um, I thought that Nicholas Holt as Lex was fantastic. I think he's probably the best Lex I've uh I've seen in like recent movies anyway. I know Jesse Eisenberg tried, but no, Nicholas Holt did a great job. Especially just like playing up the ego of Lex Luthor. It's like, yes, he's a genius. Yes, he's accomplished all this, but like getting right down to the root of what makes him a villain, just this jealousy and this huge ego and everything. I thought they played on that really well. Um, yeah, I don't know. I thought it was really well cast. I don't know. I enjoyed it. The post credits thing, I don't know. That part kind of annoyed me because I was waiting around and it didn't seem like that much. I'm sorry. I just like I- he and Mr. Terrific arguing over a building for a few seconds. I was like, that I didn't need that. It's fine, but I didn't need to wait through the entire credits. Side note, I accidentally watched this in 3D. Um,
Ew.
How?
yeah, no, I agree. Um, I don't know. It was kind of confusing. They didn't have it labeled on the website like this is 3D. They just called it like it's EMX and it's ED, whatever the like their weird names for the different styles of movies were. And so I just chose the one that was at the time that worked best for me. And then somewhere through the previews, they had a Fantastic Four thing, and they were like, "Put on your 3D glasses." I was like, "Uh-oh!" So I had to run out and get 3D glasses. So I feel like that's another thing. I'd probably want to watch this on a normal screen at some point and see how I felt about it. And the effects were great, but it's it's hard to watch a movie in 3D. I don't know. I'm not really saying a whole lot of substance. I don't know, Brian. I liked it. I like the theme. I'm hopeful for DC going forward out of this, you know? I mean, DC's struggled so much over the last decade, you know, trying to catch up to Marvel when Marvel was at their height. And I know there a certain aspect of that was DC trying to kind of copy Marvel and do what they were, you know, doing in certain ways. And, you know, that's not what they should be doing. They should just be doing their own thing. DC has, you know, their own aura, they have their own characters, they have their own style. They should just stick with that. And I thought this is a good example of that. And I guess just on you know, Melo, I kind of agree. I was a little confused. I don't know. I don't know the word. I was not expecting his parents to be you know, country bumpkins, like you said. Um,
Smallville is in Kansas, everybody. So that
yeah, no. I'm so used to it being like Kevin Costner or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's just
for one
we're
movie.
so well, but Kevin
I get what
Costner
you're
or
saying.
something like that. You know what I'm talking
No,
about.
no,
I'm
Smallville.
just saying, like,
all of like the cinematic history has just had them. They live in Kansas, yet they're
Right.
Very
it's
well
just
spoken, very
it's
well
just
read, have the right answers to
small
yeah,
town
everything,
USA.
They
That's
don't struggle putting a
yeah, and
sentence together.
I'm not complaining. Like I appreciate the that attention. Like they do live in Kansas, and it was just kind of one of those like, huh. I wasn't expecting that, but I kind of, you know, I warmed to it because yeah, no, that still makes sense because they're still very loving, you know, they're still what you would expect his foster parents to be. I guess
Right.
I'll
You
just
got
end
Ma
on
Kent leaning into the phone, talking into the speaker, staring at it.
yeah.
Clark Potter, you know, I mean,
that has nothing to do with Kansas. My parents do the exact same thing. Yeah, it drives me nuts. Let me put it. You call and it's like I want to talk to mom, you know, and well, let me put it on speaker so your dad can hear. Nope, there's
Yeah.
nothing pertains to him in this conversation, you know. But I've never seen my parents do it, but now I have a visual of what their kitchen table looks like when I call.
I called my dad about an anniversary gift for my mom a year ago, and I had to like, I was like, "Hey, is mom there?" And I just hear in the background, "Yeah." I was like, "Mom, get out of the room." So yeah, that is true. Brian, I guess I'm just gonna end on a question for you. I don't know that much about like the Krypton stuff, so like, how was the whole thing with his parents, basically his like Krypton parents telling him to make everybody a slave? Is there anything like was that just a swerve that they put in there, or is there some basis for that in the comics? Or
I
I'm
have
not complaining either way,
never,
but
I have never heard of that
that's a huge
ever.
swerve.
Yeah.
yeah,
There's never been
that
the second half of the message is, yeah, no, there was the closest thing I could think of to it, and you guys, probably anybody who's been around a little bit of comics, the character, the Eradicator, that was created during the Death of Superman storyline, that is a piece of technology that was sentient, that felt that it held all the ideals of Krypton, and that character was all about ruling the earth and getting Kal-El to help rule the earth. That would be the only thing, but no, Jor-El and Lara were never that way.
yeah,
It
that's kind of what I
reminded me a
thought.
little
I
of
was
Invincible too.
what?
What? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Mike. I was saying it reminded me a little bit of Invincible as
Oh
well.
yeah, yeah, definitely,
Oh
definitely.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm sorry I don't really have that coherent of thoughts right now. I'm kind of just winging it right now because I just haven't had a chance to stop and think about it. But I did enjoy it. I thought the acting was great. You know, Anthony Kerrigan, loved that too. Nathan Fillion was a lot of fun as one of the Green Lanterns. I don't know. I enjoyed this movie enough that I'm looking forward to seeing what's next and seeing what else DC does because for a little while there it was like anytime a new DC movie would come out, it'd be like, well, okay, you know, I guess. But this actually made me optimistic about DC's future. And that's a good thing. And yeah, I'll stop repeating myself and I'll just let you go.
Thanks, Mike. The Kerrigan says the Metamorpho character. He was in Death of a Unicorn, which might be the only good thing that was in the movie Death of a Unicorn. So yeah, I really like that. And then he was Victor Zsasz in Gotham, also. Great. I like the stuff he does too. Yeah. But
That was the one and only nugget that came up on the car ride home because
Yeah.
we were talking about Batman or not Batman, Gotham, and how much we both like that actor / character. So, you know,
but Aaron,
100% transparency here.
go ahead and keep going, Aaron.
Oh, okay. Mike, you done?
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
have anything of substance.
I really enjoyed it. I liked the differenceness of it. It's just from listening to you guys talk, a couple things I'm worried about as far as James Gunn saving DC. I don't know because I know he's already in talks. Like, you know, there's rumors about a Star Wars and there's rumors about a going back to Marvel, back to that studio. So I don't, is and when his Guardians of the Galaxy worked in the larger Marvel universe, there were other directors doing other things, and he was kind of the goofy one that you could get away with the Guardians, but like if the entire um, collection was going to be that tone, I think people would have got sick of it real quick. So I'm excited. I hope it goes well for him, but I don't see him as being the one that could piggyback an entire rebooted universe. It could come from this, it could grow from it, but I don't know about putting the whole thing on his shoulders. And I don't think all their movies being this tone would work. It worked for this movie, and I really enjoyed it. A couple of things. The swearing Melo brought up. Superman never swore though, right? I don't remember him swearing. I remember like his golly shucks and frig and stuff like that.
Correct.
They made sure he didn't swear, which I thought walked a respectable line. The right away I knew or assumed. I kind of flip flopped in between who it was going to be, whether it was going to be Lex or what did they call Ultraman?
Ultraman.
Okay, I didn't know if they had a
Call him
better name for
Ultraman,
him
yeah.
than I know he had like the U on his shirt. I knew one of them was going to have some Superman DNA in him. That's how the Fortress of Solitude opened up. So I figured that was going to be some kind of clone or something. So it wasn't like a huge reveal. Eve, one, just looking it up when you guys were talking about it, Tessmacher. I didn't know that was her last name, which going back to the 70s, Miss Tessmacher.
Yeah. That's why they did it. Yeah.
That's always is that a long time tradition of Miss Tessmacher or Eve Tessmacher being Lex's girlfriend, Brian?
No.
Okay, so that was just maybe an homage to the 78 movie.
If you put a gun to my head, I would say it was created by the Superman 1 movie. The character was.
Right.
And they have used Eve Tessmacher in the cinematic world, but I think that she got a nod in one of the comics at one point, but nothing like a big character that's stuck around.
Oh yeah, so she's not like Mary Jane or Lois Lane
No.
or
No.
because I know her from that movie, and that's all I know her from. Was pretty sure she was a good guy, and so when it was the big reveal of she was secretly, I want to say knowingly, was she knowingly collecting that information? I believe she was.
I had
Does
that same
anybody-
question.
Does anybody think it was accidental that she collected all those perfect shots of contracts and
Otherwise it would have been Deus Ex selfie, and that I think would have pissed me off. So Logically, the only way that I could have reconciled it is that she was doing it semi-intentionally for leverage, oh, just in case. Because
Which
otherwise,
to
it would have
me,
made no sense if she would
which
have
to
just
me
done all
makes
those selfies.
sense, and not even for leverage, because now you would delve into, blackmail or some type of um, ill thought. She had an iPhone, and it's well known that you can't use an iPhone and be a bad guy in a movie. Like it's against, like iPhone, Apple won't let it happen. Apple won't let the bad guys use iPhones. Um,
I
and
think
that's
it.
something I've heard over and over, and I've Googled it a few times, and I believe it to be true.
I think the pictures were protection because she knew what happened to the other girlfriend who wrote a blog.
Yeah, but if she's in the in between universe, it doesn't matter
Yeah,
what they know. They can't get her back.
Melo.
Or what? If I'm a studio and I want a bad guy to use, I'm not scared of
Oh,
Apple coming out because there's how many countless real world examples of very bad people using iPhones to do bad things. Like, what is
Or
Apple
you could
gonna
even
do?
say the bad people own the company. I don't care if you go
If
that.
you want
I'm
on a
just saying
recorded
for marketing and
podcast.
licensing, I'm pretty sure if you look it up, like they won't let it happen.
That's interesting.
They won't license it, or and maybe they never show Apple logo, but I was pretty
And
sure
maybe it's the
from the
licensing they have over them.
from the
Okay, I can see
camera
that.
setups on the phone, to me, I was like, she's using an Apple. She's going to be a good guy, you know. And
Okay.
maybe I only remember it because it worked out.
No, I it makes more sense now that we talked it through. Thank you.
Okay. Um,
so does that mean I'm a good guy because I have an Apple?
Apple is not licensing the marketing of their product through you.
Yeah.
Malo, yes, 100%. Um, yeah, I love the idea of the Supergirl being a post-credit scene. That makes way more sense. But they wanted to get it in. I love that idea. I did think, and maybe it's because I'm old now, but Superman seemed young, which I did like the naivety of it all, him being a little, you know, to me younger and not knowing exactly what to do and not doing the perfect thing every time already because, it's a learning curve on when to use what power and stuff like that. So he seemed young. He seemed a bit young. Um, but I like that. I liked how they used that. Um, I did like the who was it? I used to listen to it with my grandpa. Uh, and the rest of the story.
Oh, that's Paul Carey. Is that do I have the
Yeah,
right Paul Carey?
Harvey.
Paul
Harvey.
Paul
something.
Harvey.
Thank you.
Paul Harvey.
Couldn't
Um,
hit the button
I,
quick enough.
I don't like how they got it, but like the rest of the story from his parents, got I thought that was great. That it was such a turn on your head, nothing you've ever heard before, nothing I had at least ever heard before. Um, they're kind of simple and they're really weak and they're going to be really easy to rule. I was like, holy shit. Like, 'cause at first I thought it was, it was a fake, it was a lie somehow, but then like they went with and everybody agreed that, that's what they were saying. So I thought that was just something new, something spicy you could add to the Superman universe. Like Mike was saying, I haven't been a big Superman fan for the same reason. Just, you know, I always win because I can do anything and I can do it better than you. I'm faster than Flash. I'm stronger than name who in your universe you want to compare me to. So just never been a huge Superman fan because of that. It's just like, watch him win every week. Um, I really liked Lex. I wish he was I don't even know if they put a muscle suit on him. I wish he was a little beefier. I liked, I like big, strong Lex from the 90s cartoon. That's who I think are really super smart and super capable. There's something about just a bigger guy who, obviously can't take a punch from Superman, but at least looks him in the eye. Not just tall, but, kind of size wise. Looks like if they, you know, were both humans and had to fight, they'd be in the same weight class. Um,
I do love that Nicholas Holt originally was like tried out for Superman years ago and was denied, and so now he's Lex Luthor. It's like that's kind of a perfect story
Right. Yeah, it's like
in that kind of meta way.
of an origin story of a villain. You know,
Yeah.
I couldn't beat him, so I'm gonna beat him.
And that character was voiced by Clancy Brown.
Right. Kurgan.
Kurgan.
I thought the effects were stellar. I love the color. I like that it's more colorful. I like that it's slightly more comic book, less real world. This real world as a Superman movie could get. Um, the fantastic colors of when him and Lois are having the conversation, and it's the first fake out still that they released, and it's just purple and blue and spewing, electrified plasma, out the window while they're talking. I don't know. I like that it was more colorful and slightly more fantastical. I like the helper robots. They're
Gary.
retro realistic kind of thing. What'd you say, Brian?
His name was Gary.
Oh,
At the
yeah.
end,
I
he
think
gave
Gary
himself.
would be. Yeah. Some of the things like why and how long had he been sitting there stabbing that screwdriver into his head? Because it had been a while, days. Um, and the only other thing that's really come up is Ma and Pa. I really liked. That Ma and Pa were more, Kansas rather than, having the eloquent, poetic insight on everything that Clark has ever asked and they have the right answer to. And, they're just two good people that raised a good kid, that happens to be Superman. Um, and um, what do you want to say? The montage at the end. All right. If I was going to choke up, uh, it was when the pictures of his parents, and it changed it out, that it relaxes him or makes him feel good. And it's Ma and Pa and his actual growing up rather than the video from his parents that he didn't know. So I really like that. But that's all I got. Liked it. Solid B plus. Flirting with an A minus. Good film. I don't know if it can start a franchise or save a studio, but I like this one.
Well, thank you. And nobody said it yet, but Bradley Cooper was a surprise to me. I hadn't heard about him being in it. So it was interesting to see him as Jor-El. And I kept looking at the face of Lara and I was like, is that Lady Gaga? Could that be Lady? Because I was thinking it might have been.
No,
But
it's Clementine from Westworld.
yes, it was not Lady Gaga. It was a different actress but Mr. Hilty, let us know your thoughts on Superman.
First time watch. So that's
Hey,
fun.
breakthrough moment.
Pick the movie, yay!
So I largely agree with what everyone has said so far. So I'll start with my guy yells at cloud moments. There's so for me, there's a couple things here that I just wasn't a huge fan of. So I did think that this was a little overstuffed. This is a lot to take in for an introductory movie, not even an origin movie, because James Gunn does not care if you know anything about Superman or the comics or anything like that. He's just going in universe. I actually do give him a little bit of credit for that because he's trusting the audience to know like the basics. But there are a few things in here that I'm like, I have no idea who some of these people are. And for somebody who's a casual comic book fan, more of a Marvel fan like everybody else, and
What? Whoa, whoa,
For
whoa.
Brian.
Except Brian. Okay,
True story.
continue.
Oh,
um, and I don't know, it just there I know James Gunn is not expecting me to do homework or anything like that. That's something I've taken Marvel to task for plenty of times. It's like I feel like I have to go back and rewatch all of this stuff. So I'm not saying that he needs me to do homework, but he's rewarding people who at least have some base knowledge of some of this stuff, and he's just asking everyone just to keep up. And I think I think the best way to put that is that just felt like it just felt annoying, not a total deal breaker by any means, but you know, there have been plenty of times where I've known some Marvel stuff that like the person behind me didn't, and I'm like, I get it. No, that's how that feels. Um, the humor didn't always work for me. The vast majority of the time, it did. Um, like hashtag super shit didn't really land with me that much until you see the army of monkeys like just on social media as James Gunn is just trolling the entire internet, which I did greatly appreciate that part. Um I
I did,
liked
Mike,
uh,
just since you brought it up, like I did like how they integrated the best they could,
mhm,
tried to update it to real time, the Daily Planet also being online
mhm.
and, hit send and, getting it on there. And then the monkey shit talking, you know, uh, rage farms and stuff.
Oh yeah, that was great. I liked two-thirds of Nicholas Holt's performance as Lex Luthor. And I think the first the first two-thirds of the movie, Lex had Superman's number. And the brain versus brawn, everything. Uh, I thought that that was a really interesting dynamic right there. I think where it started to lose me a little bit is when they're in the pocket universe and they're playing the Russian roulette game, and he kills the guy, which I was like, oh, okay, we're just gonna kill people in this pocket universe, and I'll get to the pocket universe in a second because that pissed me off too. Um, but the as soon as Lex said, maybe the next guy I'm gonna get is that reporter you talked to, Clark Kent. I'm like, are we serious right now? Is this like, does he really not know that he's Superman? But, or maybe he's just trolling him. I don't know. And from that point forward, Lex makes very emotional, very irrational, very like kind of goes downhill pretty quickly. And I think it was that moment that I was like, I'm not sure if I can get on board with how how this ending for Lex comes about. Um, I overall I thought Nicholas Holt was an outstanding choice as Lex Luthor, and if I'm being perfectly honest, because I did a Superman rewatch recently, and of the six Superman movies I've watched, of the six that I did watch for an article I wrote, like four of the movies had Lex Luthor as the main villain. And then now we have Lex Luthor here again. It's like, Batman has other villains than the Joker, and it's the same thing here as well. So I would have hoped that James Gunn would have branched out a little bit more. And I guess he did with the engineer, who I didn't know anything about the engineer, and Black Noir Ultraman. I didn't know anything about him either, but okay, cool. Um, let's see.
Can I
Um,
jump in real quick, Mike?
sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Uh, so Ultraman's been brought up a few times, and Melo, you even called him Bizarro. Ultraman is actually a villain from Earth 3, where on that world, all the heroes are actually villains. So it's Ultraman, Green Lantern is Power Ring, Flash is Johnny Quick, Wonder Woman, Superwoman, and they are the crime syndicate who took over the world. So it's basically an Earth where all the villains are in charge. And I always equated to that. I was waiting to see, like, they were going to say when he opened this pocket universe, he found Ultraman. So when it was the clone, it was like, oh, and I don't know why I never thought to say Bizarro when it came to it, but it was just, I was hoping it was going to be the Earth 3 Superman, and they were going to explain that the pocket universe he found was actually a destroyed Earth 3.
Mm.
But I just wanted to throw that in there while you were collecting your thoughts.
Okay, speaking of pocket universes, I thought this pocket universe was bullshit. And Marvel is, we're taking Marvel to task for all of these things with the multiverse not working. It seems like James Gunn, he's making a lot of great choices, but it seems like he's also making some of the same mistakes that Marvel and DC have been doing as well. Because with Marvel, you've got this pocket universe, multi-universe thing, and the needing to do like a little bit of homework. And with DC jamming too much in too early, and the whole destroying cities and the implications of that moving forward. And I think he's making similar choices that Zack Snyder did with Superman, but actually in the opposite direction, where he's making Superman a little too like like Henry Cavill's Superman was too dark, too brooding, and this guy is not like the exact opposite, but we need to go somewhere in the middle with that. And with Ultraman, this is just a superhero thing in general. Another same versus same end fight again. Cool. And then I have my one shut up nerd moment. For a guy that has super breath, why didn't he think to use super breath when the nanobots were going down his throat? I'll never know, but cool, whatever. Um, that's one that I had to just chalk up to a shut up nerd moment. So that's all the crap that I didn't like. However, there is a ton of stuff about this movie that is really great. Starting with the messaging. The messaging of this movie and some of the themes involving choices. That scene with Pa Kent, which that's also a change because I was not expecting Pa Kent to be in this movie because in a lot of iterations of Superman, Pa Kent is not around by this time. He's usually gone. So the fact that we do get some Pa Kent moments, I really like that. And that scene where they're just outside, just talking, and he's saying how parents are there just to just to give you a blueprint. You make your own choices at that point. And he's saying that he's proud of him. Uh, Aaron was talking about how that the scene at the end with like all the clips with Mom, Pa Kent raising Clark, that almost got him. That scene with Pa Kent and Clark after he's healed in Smallville, that part almost got me, but it didn't. So whatever. Also, the part about being human, and that's one thing that I like about this Superman. This feels like the most human Superman that we've ever gotten, and that's where I don't mind the cursing. I don't mind that he's angry. I don't mind that he's kind of a fuck up at times. I don't mind that he's a shitty journalist, according to Lois, either. I could have used more Clark Kent in this because just everything surrounding the Daily Planet and the banner between Clark and Lois before we found out that they've been dating already. I thought that was great, but with just the themes about being human, and even Superman says that at the end to Lex about I'm human, and that's the thing that kind of makes me me and makes you you. I did really like that. I thought Mr. Terrific and the dog were the MVPs of this movie. Um, I do agree with everyone that the dog doesn't always work, but that doesn't change the fact that that dog is adorable and loyal and a bad dog, I guess, in a way, but it's also a very cute dog, lovable and all that stuff. I did like that the Daily Planet actually mattered and there was actually some journalism going on. The Daily Planet is not just a place where people have conversations or where it builds relationships. No, the Daily Planet actually mattered. And I thought Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane was great. And this is a different shade of Lois because Kate Bosworth in Superman Returns and Amy Adams in the Snyderverse simply didn't get enough to do. And I thought that was a shame, but really liked Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane because I'm a big fan of the marvelous Mrs. Maisel. So anything that she does, I'm gonna support her in that. Um, for a comic book movie as well, this feels like the most comic book movie that ever comic booked out there. So I did appreciate that. Um, the B plots with Russia and Ukraine and going out to fight one another. I thought that was I don't mind some real life stakes and real life geopolitics in my movies, so I did like that. Um, color palette, special effects, cinematography were all mentioned is great. I thought the music was really good as well. Not retreading on the Superman music too much, but I still like that. And I do like that James Gunn, the direction that he's going in general with this gods versus monsters idea. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's there. Lots of Easter eggs for those paying attention. The Justice Gang, calling them the Justice Gang the whole time. I thought that was a great joke throughout the course of the movie. It's like, that's not our name. That's not our name. And then Metamorpho comes around. It's like, Justice Gang. I like that. It's like, you're hired. You're in. Um, the It was talked about before with the scene where Clark and Lois are talking while the alien, the floating squid alien, is in the sky. The color palette on it was beautiful, and I about lost my shit when a giant baseball bat starts hitting that thing. I thought that was fantastic. So overall, and then I really liked the change where Bradley Cooper and not Lady Gaga tell, uh, you know, they're telling. It was already like it felt kind of telegraphed at some point that that was the end game, that they were going to decrypt that and figure out what was wrong with or what was the second part of the message. That's a big change, and I think James Gunn swung for the fences with that, and he definitely I definitely like that change. That even gives people who have been fans of Smallville or fans of just anything, because Smallville for me is the definitive version of Superman. Um, so I'm glad that we didn't get an origin story. I'm glad that we didn't see Krypton explode. I'm glad that we just plopped into universe and then we're good from there. So overall, I enjoyed the movie. Liked it, not loved it. I agree with Melo. I have a feeling that I'm going to watch. The more I watch this, the more I'm going to appreciate it, because I felt the same way about Iron Man at first. Is that, you know, I appreciate Iron Man more after what we got, 10 years later with that. I'm not sure I'm going to get that same feeling from this version of Superman. But if we do, awesome. I'll take that. And then there's a Gotham City Easter egg in there too. There's a sign that said Gotham City that way when people are evacuating. I thought that was cool. That's all.
Yeah,
Real
and
quick, just
go ahead.
I just want to throw in. It's funny you mentioned the same versus same thing. That I thought immediately of Iron Man first before anything else
Mhm.
when you said that, and I loved I even in the theater. I mean, I loved Iron Man when it first came out.
Mhm.
It probably actually got me further into the comics rabbit hole. But yeah, it is kind of a pretty worn out trope at this point where it's like it's the same.
But with one noticeable change, is that this guy is matches Superman in every way, but he's a big dumb dummy who just is just following orders at this point. And that I think that was a nice wrinkle, because without Lex's drones or whatever, or the not Mr. Terrific stuff, which the Mr. Terrific beach scene where he encapsulate Lois in like the force field, and then he's just messing all those people up. I thought that was the best action sequence in the entire movie. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed that.
You you guys have mentioned the alien out the window, or he said it was a imp from the fifth dimension.
Hmm.
Mr. Mixel is actually the imp from the fifth dimension in the comic books. So
Oh,
they obviously didn't look like Mixel, but that would that's as soon as he said that, I was like, well, that's yeah, and yeah, the giant baseball bat in the scene was just awesome.
Yeah.
So
Brian, I do have a question for you. So the little guy that was the distraction, the meaner Stitch looking
I was
creature.
gonna say Stitch. Yes.
So is that a thing in DC Comics? And also what Brian, like if anyways, but also how did he get so big? Like what happened there?
I,
Is this a
that
shut up nerd? Is this a shut up nerd moment as
for
well?
me, it's
Am
a
I the
shut
only
up.
one that's
Yeah,
asking about that?
no, there was no reason why it was explained. Obviously, no, the little stitch as a good word for it. There was no reason. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's
Yep.
not a common theme where they take, the little grow thing, put water on it, and it gets big. I don't that one threw me.
No,
Hmm.
but for me, the guys when they release it, the one says, "How much damage is this thing going to do?" or whatever, and he's like, "Don't worry, it'll get bigger."
Mm.
So they knew what it was or what it would do. And two, to me, it was just like a cartoon comic book thing
Mhm.
where it's like you just understand that like the more damage it does, the more it grows, or the more it gets shot, the more it grows,
Mhm.
whatever, and you just let it go with that. I liked it.
Mhm.
Kind of like
And
a Pokemon thing,
I
right?
don't.
Don't they
I don't
level
do
up or whatever the
Pokemon.
hell they do?
Yeah, I've never done Pokemon.
I don't
Um,
either, but I know they level up or they change,
yeah,
right?
as they fight or
Oh,
whatever,
yeah.
but 'cause it just kind of became a larger version of itself, though, didn't it? It
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
it didn't change into a cooler version. It was just
I
kind of
mean,
like a
it's
big blobby. It was breathing fire by the end or whatever, but
And they did the character who released him was Otis, which was Ned Beatty from the first Superman movie.
mhm.
And when he wrote what he wanted to have his little land area, which was another homage because it was going to be Lutherville or whatever I don't remember what he named his area, but his was Otisburg.
Otisburg.
Otisburg. But the character's name in the credits is Otisburg. So his last name
That's
is
cool. I
Berg.
didn't notice that,
Yeah.
and you
Nice.
didn't point it out to me. Thank you.
We weren't
No,
talking
I
about
like
it.
it. That's thank
So,
you.
all right, Tim.
Oh,
I real quick. Speaking of explanations, because Hilty was asking about the explanation for that. One thing I really liked was the first for the humor of the whole with Nathan Fillion's Green Lantern, just like giving away everything, and Lois is like, "Dude, what are you
Yeah.
doing?" Like, But I did like the fact that they kind of just snuck in there the whole like, "Hey, you realize he wears hypno glasses, so it changes his face." It's like, oh, okay, that's because the running joke, obviously.
Mhm.
It's like, all right, that's I kind of enjoyed that they didn't make a huge deal out of it, but they just kind of snuck it in there. I enjoyed that.
His haircut is abysmally awesome, though. Just
Well,
chef's
see, I
kiss.
also in the late '90s, early 2000s, there was a long-haired, like mullet having Superman. You know,
Right. When he came back from the Death of Superman story and he was in the chamber, Genesis chamber, when he came out, there was a mullet Superman for a
yeah,
short period of time.
awesome.
Of all the types of Superman for us to get, a mullet Superman was needed. Awesome.
Tim.
Hang on, just to stall Tim even longer, because that's what I do. All right,
There we go. I mean, not sure how that didn't happen earlier.
okay, so I'm back. The two things when he was fighting Ultraman and he lost like there was a point there, I don't know if he lost connection with Luthor, but basically Superman was just beating the shit out of Ultraman. Did you get a Beyond Thunderdome Master Blaster kind of feel? It's like he's just beating up a handicap kid at this
Oh,
point because he's not smart and, just big, and Superman's beating the shit out of him. So I did. And then there was one other little thing that I had meant to say. Um, Somebody had brought up, and I really like the chemistry between Lois and Clark. But like the making out at one point, I was like, is this a kissing book? I just, to me, it's just like, oh, this isn't what I signed up for. But anyway, go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
Those of you who have already talked know 1,000% more about comic book history and superhero lore than I do. So it's kind of fun watching you guys talk about this stuff, about different versions of comic books and different ways this has gone. I'm a movie watcher. The only thing I know about superheroes for me comes from movies that I've seen before and Super Friends, the cartoon in the 80s. Like, you guys are bringing so much to the table of character background and expectations from other things that you know. I don't have a fucking clue what you guys are talking about. I'm gonna be honest. I go into a movie like this, and my first thought is, why are we making another Superman movie? I've already seen like 3 different Supermen. Why do I have to watch another Superman? And I know I brought this up before. The last Batman movie, I said the thing, like, come on, how many times do I have to go watch a new iteration of Batman?
it's
Uh,
called capitalism, Tim.
I didn't ask for you to answer that question. I'm saying that's how I go into these movies. Like, why am I watching this? Because I have no stake in this whatsoever. I'm not like, man, I loved Christopher Reeve. I don't know why they're ruining Superman for me. Like, a lot of people have at this point in time talked about Star Wars and how it ruined their childhood. We've talked about this at other times. Uh, I just, I don't know that I would have gone to the theater and seen this. It probably would have been a couple of years before I watched this Superman movie. Having said all of that, I did like it. I like that they went in a couple of different directions. I like Crypto the dog in there a lot. Sometimes the CGI was a little wonky, but you just like, okay, it's a CGI super dog. What are you supposed to get out of this thing? And I think Hilty was saying like he was adorable and he kind of steals the movie, and I totally agree with that. And I like that that was a new wrinkle on a Superman movie because I have no fucking clue what you guys are talking about with all this background stuff. Like I'm in this to watch a Superman movie. They're giving me another new origin framework. Somebody said, I think maybe Wilden was saying I didn't have to have the origin story. They gave me a similar framework to start with. It was a little odd for me that it started with the words on the screen saying, "Hey, 3 decades ago, 3 hours ago, 3 minutes ago." I was like, "Ooh, this is you were just hitting me over the head with exposition that I don't really necessarily want right now. I just finally got my popcorn and sat down." But in media res, like they just start out with, we're right in the middle of this, and here's your action, and we're going to go. And I did like that. And I immediately got over the why am I watching a Superman movie as soon as the action started. And so, as far as that's concerned, for somebody like me, who is unlike everybody who's talked today, I need a reason to watch the movie, and immediately I got one. So starting in the middle of the action and giving me just enough information to stay interested worked for me. So I did enjoy that. I don't know if there's an engineer ever mentioned before in comics. I've never seen it in a movie. Or Mr. Terrific. I have no idea who he is. I know who Bizarro Man is because, of course, he was on Super Friends. But I'd never heard of Ultraman. So some of these things were, as I'm watching it, somewhat expected and somewhat not expected. The family bumpkin, country bumpkin thing, however we put that, that didn't work for me at all because it didn't fit well with other things that I've seen. It was such a departure that it didn't fit well with me. And what I thought was people who live in Kansas have to be going, oh, come on, man. That's it. Stop it. We're not all like this in Kansas. Stop it. Um, I loved Mr. Terrific in this movie, though. I think Hilty also said that he kind of stole the show with Crypto. Totally agree. I love them. I'm a big fan of Mrs. Maisel, and I was watching Lois Lane the whole movie going, who is that? I know this actress. And I got in the car on the way home, and Nikki said that was Mrs. Maisel, and I swore really loud, like, because I was looking forward to getting home and looking it up and going, who is this? Um, so for me, not having the background that you guys have, I'm still not sure why we're watching another Superman iteration. I thought Zack Snyder's uh 4 hour whatever with the Justice League
Zack Snyder's Justice League. Yeah.
was fantastic. I liked the first movie, and then I watched the 4 hour thing, and I was like, wow, this is great. And I don't understand why they just keep going with that. Like you guys say, like capitalism, and we're showing money sign, like I get money out of it. I don't. It's. I don't know any background information here. I don't know why they just didn't do whatever they have to do to keep going with that, which is what Marvel got away with. For anything you guys say Marvel didn't do right, what they did do right is they just kept the story going, and they kept actors involved, and they kept using, some of the same directors, and this DC thing keeps sputtering out and restarting as far as I'm concerned from a movie watcher. And I'm irked by that. And I hear you guys say, like, I'm rooting for DC and whatever. I'm pretty sure the next thing I'm going to see from DC is either a continuation of this, or for God's sake, let's start another Batman series. And I just wish DC would actually take one of these and go somewhere and make a longer story out of it. And so I don't get it. That's where I land on this. And it's not about this movie, because I like the movie. It sold me. I sat in there thinking, why am I watching this? And then I got involved in it, liked it. You guys talk about the colors and the overall editing. I thought that was wonderful. I did feel like they used the Superman theme song a little too much. It was in there a lot. It's almost like every time you flew, you hear the Superman theme. But I did really enjoy, and this is a James Gunn thing because he loves his music. I like that they had a pop punk band, and they actually played it during the credits. That I really enjoyed. So I'm more of a B minus on this than I think Aaron said B plus A minus. I totally get why you guys, especially with your vast background knowledge that you bring to it, I get why you guys like it. But for me, without that experience, that's where I'm at, is kind of a B minus. But we like to say this kind of thing. I like that you picked it. I like that I watched it and I enjoyed it. I totally agree with you guys about the Supergirl thing looking like it should have been a post-credit extra scene. I like that it was in there, though, to explain why the dog's there, because they never explained Crypto at all. He's just like, it's a foster situation. And then she shows up and like, okay, all right, thank you for tying that together for me. So I think that's why it's in there before the credits. But yeah, I mean, DC, I don't know, figure your shit out. Like, stop hammering me with, oh, we did the Superman movie, and then this director didn't work out, or this actor didn't work out. So we're gonna start Batman again, and we're gonna go back to where it starts. And like somebody said, it's always Joker. I don't love comic books and superheroes like a lot of you guys do, and so this is weird for me that we keep redoing this. I get they make a lot of money off of it. We're talking about Burger King cups and whatnot, but I like the movie. But I'm not blown away by any of the sort of reason why we did. I'll stop there. Oh no,
If it's any consolation, DC Comics kind of does the same thing that the movies have done, where it's just like every few years, it's another restart, and it's another universal cataclysm that kind of resets things to a certain extent. The comics, like the movies, have really kind of followed the comics as far as that goes.
Okay.
Unintentionally.
One last thing, Brian knows this. As a kid, I have an older brother, and whenever we played Super Friends, my brother would be Superman, and so since that was taken, I always went Green Lantern. So Green Lantern has, for the longest time, been one of my favorite superheroes. And I told Brian, I texted him like, "Oh man, why do I got to watch a Superman movie?" And then I was like, "But I saw Green Lanterns in it, so all right, that gives me a reason why we haven't seen that." What a douchebag. why the hell did they do that? So, like, Hal Jordan is a great guy. Why the hell did they put a Woody Harrelson type character in here for a Green Lantern? And I mean, he ends up being a good guy. And I do like the line, "Superman couldn't be here. You got something better." I mean, he's kind of brash about that stuff. So it was funny in the end, but not the Green Lantern that I was hoping for.
Yeah, when I saw your text, I immediately laughed. It was like, because Guy Gardner is actually one of my favorite characters in comics, shockingly enough.
Is Guy Gardner a Green Lantern guy?
That's who
That's who
was in the
that's
movie.
who this Green Lantern version is? Okay.
Yeah,
He's an ass. And
he's
that's
an
why-
ass.
Yeah.
Little history on Guy Gardner. When Abin Sur landed on Earth and they needed to find a Green Lantern, he said, "Find somebody." And he found Hal Jordan and Guy Gardner. And Abin Sur said, "Bring me whoever's closer." So just because of location, Guy Gardner was not picked as our Earth's Green Lantern. During his story development through the years, there was a point where he had a brain injury and has a TBI and a Green Lantern ring, and still does to this day. But that arrogance and who he is always shown through. So, but there were times where he wore the ring, he lost it, then they brought in John Stewart for a while, and then they brought Guy Gardner back in, and Guy Gardner's been a mainstay in the Green Lantern universe since then. So I was excited because I thought Nathan Fillion was going to do a great job as Guy Gardner, and I was right. Hawk Girl, I don't understand the idea behind her screaming the whole time as she's flying and fighting. That didn't make
like
any
you mean
sense.
you mean like a hawk?
They
But
they
that's not
don't
a
do
thing.
that in the
That's not a thing
comic
Hawk Girl does.
Yeah.
or cartoon or anything that they've done with her. And I'm sorry, I'm not a bird person that would know that a hawk is going to do that. And yes, Melo, she's not Black Canary. So, Dan, Matt Smith, appreciate both of you guys being here for this. Dan, do you have a cinema Superman that you truly enjoy or have seen Superman movies?
I haven't seen the last like three Superman movies, but I saw the first like four, I think it was. And
Christopher Reeve.
yeah, yeah, I definitely liked the first one was very good with Christopher Reeve, and the second one I liked also. Um,
And then 3 and 4 exist.
yeah,
And that's all you need to know.
Quest for Peace was horrible, and yeah, the other one was bad too. But I like Christopher Reeve as Superman. I liked Superman 1 the best.
But
And I
without
know
without Superman 3, we wouldn't have gotten Office Space.
What's the connection there? I don't know.
Never mind. That's the scheme they pull in Office Space. It's the exact same scheme that anyway, it doesn't matter.
They're rounding off the pennies
They're rounding the pennies,
into
yes.
their own
Yeah.
accounts.
Well, this is a Richard Pryor thing, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Sorry.
and the criminal genius that he is would never go out of his way to draw attention, and he shows up in a
Yeah.
Lamborghini. Yeah. Matt, I know you are more of a comic book guy. Characters that we've mentioned throughout, is there anybody that we've put out there that you don't know?
So I'm kind of like Melo, I'm more of a Marvel comic. The only DC comic I really got into, I got into some Batman when I was younger. Especially when he broke his back and things like that. That was a big event. My parents are huge into Superman for two completely different reasons. My dad watched George Reeve,
Oh.
or reruns of it. He's not that old, but like he watched some reruns and that was a big thing. And my mom loved Christopher Reeve. So they were able to bond over the old. So we saw Superman 1 quite a few times in my house. As far as characters, I mean, I was just kind of looking through the list. Nothing, um, nothing that was like, oh wow, like I kind of Ultraman is kind of in that weird spot for me because he's a clone in this one, right? Or something. Spoiler alert. And I always like to me, somebody said Bizarro, like that was always sort of the weird Superman. So Ultraman's kind of not in my wheelhouse, but just looking at the rest of it, I didn't see anything that was totally crazy. Um, I like I love, and this had to be purposeful. Obviously, James Gunn has got his people. So all the Guardians people that were in this, obviously. But then you kind of look and he's got some other Marvel people in here too. The guy who played Mr. Is it Mr. Fantastic? Is that he
Terrific.
was in he was in
Terrific.
Terrific, sorry, Mr. Terrific. He was in sorry, Mr. Fantastic would be Fantastic Four. I'm
Yeah.
an idiot.
Sorry.
Sorry. Mr. Terrific. He was in X-Men First Class.
Oh, but
Um
justice for him after what Fox
yeah.
did to him
Oh my
in
gosh.
Darwin. I can survive anything except
Except this
this.
one thing, yeah. The guy who played Lex Luthor was Hank McCoy in the newer
Right.
X-Men movies. So it's just, I'm sorry, James Gunn is just that type of guy, or he seems like just that type of guy. I feel like he took as many Marvel people as he possibly could, and Disney and Star Wars, and said, "Hey, we're gonna make a movie in DC and screw those guys." That just kind of seems like that's in character for him.
Hang on,
Um,
Matt, because I
yeah.
got a question. Which way you mean that? Do you mean he's like an ass and pulled these actors, or he's such a good guy and creative that they want to come work with him?
I think he has a very dedicated group that
It's
works with him.
it's
Like,
it's definitely the latter because
yeah,
That's
for
that's what I
sure.
was hoping.
But
yeah,
I don't think for a second he didn't have that on his mind as he was getting some of these other Marvel,
Mhm.
um, former Marvel actor type people too. I'm not saying he did it to be a total jagbag, but I think he definitely was thinking about it like, come, I'll give you justice, right? To whoever said that, like, I'll give you justice in my universe because you got screwed in yours,
Well,
kind
it's
of thing.
it's Matt, it's funny you mentioned that because the guy who played Rick Flag Sr. in this was Crossbones in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Hmm.
And he said, I like working for DC much better. It gives me more opportunity to do whatever. It's like, dude, shut up. Like you were Crossbones
Yeah,
in the MCU and like
Grillo?
and
Frank
also
Grillo, yeah.
yeah.
yeah, Frank Grillo. And it's like you also didn't do much of anything in this. He was great, admittedly, as Rick Flag Sr. in Creature Commandos, which this did have, there's questions about whether or not the Suicide Squad and Creature Commandos is part of this. That Peacemaker cameo was awesome.
Oh,
I
yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah.
I don't think
I,
there's any question about that. I thought Gunn has
there,
addressed it that it
I
is all his universe.
I've seen some reports that call into question that, and I'm
Okay.
like, I don't know how that's possible at all. But
I forgot about Peacemaker. That was great.
that was yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. No, I thought you
Okay.
were done. I
No,
We
apologize.
yeah, I
all
was just
interrupted Matt.
no, it's okay. I was just gonna say, just looking at it, I will definitely see it at some point. You kind of asked Dan about other Superman movies, and I kind of talked about Superman the original, but I actually really like Superman Returns. I don't know if I'm an
I did
outlier on
also.
that. I really thought it was good, and I I don't care. I liked Man of Steel. I thought it was decent. I thought it
Mhm.
was had a lot of promise as the start of that universe, and then they just screwed it up later. But that movie had that. It is not the sins of that movie that caused that original DC universe to crash. It was definitely. I'm sure there was some money involved in there, but I liked Man of Steel a lot. I thought Henry Cavill was a good Superman. Kind of fit the comic, what I thought of as the comic version of Superman. But yeah. So anyway, I will see this movie at some point. I just didn't have a chance to see it yet.
Thank you. You know, kind of Tim's question, why are we watching the Superman movie again? And DC went to James Gunn and said, carte blanche, redo your universe. You can start. There's no other way in DC to start besides Superman. You could try a Batman universe, but I don't think it'll be successful. That's why they didn't say to Matt Reeves, okay, let's keep going with your Robert Pattinson and build from here. They did they're doing a Batman
They're
2,
doing a second one.
but they've already said that James Gunn is casting a Batman, a Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
So
it's separate, and
yeah,
I think that is although it's a risky decision, I also think it's kind of the right decision as well. If something's working with the, you know, sparkly Batman, the Robert Pattinson Batman, which I did like
Let that go.
I
Let
liked
that go.
I think Robert Pattinson is a fantastic actor. I'm still gonna give him shit for being in Twilight though. But overall, I loved the Batman. I thought it was great. And if they can continue to do that and not force James Gunn to integrate that into something where maybe tonally it doesn't match, cool. I'm fine. Just whatever.
James
The
Gunn
other
has
thing about
said,
the Batman is it's a lot more realistic. Like it, they even go so far as to change names. I mean, with the Penguin series, his name is Oswald Cobb instead of Cobblepot because Cobblepot's not anybody's actual name.
I think
So like
that's
they
my
go
favorite.
out of their way to make that a lot more realistic. And if you suddenly throw the rest of the DC universe, namely Superman, into that world, I feel like it doesn't really work. So I also kind of like the idea of keeping that one separate.
I think that's my favorite thing. I was trying to go through my mind. I think that's the favorite thing that DC has done since Michael Keaton and
is
changing him to
Pattinson's
like,
Batman.
yes.
Mm.
And
Or
it
the
was
Penguin
it was
series.
way out of the blue. When I heard Pattinson, I'm like, get out of here. And like it's so good.
I really like it.
That's
But
Look, if
Mike
you like
bringing
any of
that up
that,
just
I'm
now.
sorry. I'm just saying, Penguin is head and shoulders better than the Batman. You need to watch the Penguin series on
oh,
HBO
I've seen
Max.
it.
Yeah,
I've
but
seen
they
it's
had
very
3
good.
months instead of 2 hours. You know.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't exist without the other. Is my
Right.
like they go hand in hand.
But I like what Mike just brought up. As much as I like both of these, their tones are completely, what I was just talking about the colors and the fantasticness, and like Batman doesn't have any of that, and I like them both for the reasons that I like them. So
Yeah,
they don't mesh together. I get that.
I do agree with that.
And I was worried going into it after watching Creature Commandos because the opening credits of Creature Commandos finishes with animation of James Gunn
It's a
sitting at a
James Gunn
typewriter.
joint. That's
I'm
pretty
like,
much how it ends
it's
each
like,
time.
okay, the arrogance of James Gunn can screw this up. And I don't think it happened in this one yet. But I do see, like, he does have buddies that I can't believe Batista wasn't in this movie at all in some way, shape, or form. I mean,
Mhm.
I didn't notice
He's
it in the movie.
He's going to be at
Well,
some point.
Michael Rosenbaum was one of the army guys. It was just like they said he puts his buddies in.
Isn't his brother Sean Gunn?
Yeah,
Well,
he
he
was
was
Maxwell.
Max Lord.
He was
That's now Max Lord's a huge character because
Oh,
Max Lord is when DC did DC Infinite Crisis and they started the Justice League again back in '87. Max Lord is the behind the scenes kind of benefactor, and then through the years has you find out he's actually got a power and a metagene and things like that. So it's a big character, and yeah, he uses his brother for it, but his brother's also the voice of Weasel from the Suicide Squad movie. So
Mhm.
did you Rooker is in this?
Yeah,
I
he's one of
saw
the
that.
robots.
And so
Yeah.
is Mantis.
yep. Yeah, he did not hold back. Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. She's robot
Oh,
number
okay,
12
yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
Okay.
So yeah, I appreciate you guys, going to the theater and seeing it, and uh, I'm excited for where the DC universe is going. I hadn't heard the James Gunn thing going to back to Marvel or Star Wars, and I hope that doesn't happen. Just some of the things that they've said with the Clayface horror movie type idea, I think could be great. And just continuing with making DC something long term where there's one guy, the Kevin Feige. They need the Kevin Feige. I mean, John Favreau has gotten a lot of credit as the director of Iron Man and continuing to do stuff, but Feige was the guy who
Favreau?
kept
I'm sorry, Brian. Who? Which John are you talking
Favreau.
about?
Favreau.
Favre? John Favre?
Yeah, Brett Favre's little brother.
Throws a
John
lot of
Favreau.
interceptions. Yeah.
So, but they need a voice. They need what was this? Leland Chi. They need a Leland Chi.
They need a Leland Chi.
Everybody needs a Leland Chi.
But they need somebody who can keep them on task and give whoever's doing the movies the creative freedom that they want to, but keep it so that it's going on this main timeline and going somewhere. Because DC has phenomenal stories. And one of my biggest complaints has always been that when the movies and things come out, they try to change something. So people can't say, well, you're just recreating the comic book. Well, that's all Marvel did is they recreated their comic books and made great movies. So recreate your characters and make great movies. And James Gunn did say on the origin thing that I never need to see pearls in an alley. I never need to see Uncle Ben laying in the street, and I don't need to see Krypton explode. So I think they did a really nice job with this enough origin with the video and things that we know who Superman is. We know he's an alien from another planet. And if anybody had never seen anything else of Superman, they would have a good enough understanding and know who he is to enjoy the movie. So thank you, Tim. I will turn this back over to you so we can hear whatever craziness we're going for our next round. I'm not saying put a bow on it or put a pin in it or wrap it up.
I'm not sure I like the word craziness. I don't like the tone that you're starting us off with here. So the next round in the BTB Movie Club experience is going to be 8 movies picked by us that will actually be a contest. We have said it's not a contest so many times. There will be a winner at the end of these 8 weeks. You guys have all chosen some movies and emailed your choices to my wife, who is taking this very seriously. And there is no way she's going to let me know any information whatsoever. In fact, I asked, as 2 or 3 people sent her some information, did they all send 1 movie or 3 movies? And she looked me in the eye and said, I'm not telling you that. Don't ask again. I was like, that has nothing to do with it. And then she walked away. So that's where we're at. She's being very strict as the keeper of the information. So here is what is going to happen. She has picked 1 movie from each of you, and she has them labeled number 1 through 8. What will happen today, as it is my pick, is I've asked Mike Wilden to do his randomizer for the numbers 1 through 8. He will give us that. Yeah,
wheels are coming right off this buggy.
A long time ago, Mike, I sent that text to you. You might see it 4 or 5 minutes ago. And so we will randomly, as it is my movie pick, I will randomly get a number from Mike, and I will text.
Really 2 minutes ago.
There you go.
As you were talking, I got this text message. What the?
I don't know what you're
fuck are you doing, Tim?
You know the organizational structure here. So a movie will get picked. It will be from one of the 8 of us. And your job, all of you guys, at the end of next week, after I lead the discussion on the movie that gets picked, is you guys will text me your pick on who you think picked this movie.
Balderdash.
So there's an offense and a defense to this game. The offense is you're trying to figure out who picked the movie, and the defense is kind of like a mole situation. Whoever actually picked the movie, wear your poker face and don't let everybody know. The winner will be who picked the right person the most amount of times. If we have a tie, the tiebreaker will be who's the person who got picked the least amount of times for their movie. And if we still tied at the end of it, we'll go to Rotten Tomatoes audience score for the movie they got picked. Melo, you have a question.
Did you say this already? Is it only one per person?
Nikki picked one movie from each person. Yes. And so next week is Melo's week, and Melo will randomly get a number, and it will be another movie, and he will lead the discussion. Likely not the movie he picked. We will all talk about it. The person who did pick the movie will play defense and act as if they've never seen or heard this movie before, probably, or try to act like somebody else picked it. But that's the offense and the defense of this contest. We will go through 8 movies picked by us and try to figure out who picked what. That is our contest. So, Mike Wilden, if you are ready, you have had plenty of time to prepare for this.
I am not, because I had to make a brand new wheel because I had to get a different app, and I wish you would have told me this shit ahead of time.
Mike,
Do
you want me to just
pull your head
do you want me
out
to
of
just
Try
your
to
roll
give
a
you a
dice?
moment with your app and your thing. He's usually pretty good with this. He seems a little testy about this today.
Do you want me to just
Yeah,
roll
maybe
a
you should have
die?
given me a little
Just
bit of a
roll it.
heads
Yeah.
up. Hey, so what you're
Here's that
saying as far
eight-sided
as
dice.
guessing who picked the thing, I shouldn't have picked Blood and Honey 2 then?
Ding.
Well, that's up to you. And
I was about to
you.
say Toy Story 4.
if you
I called both of those shits.
Yeah, no, I really
Melo's
enjoyed that,
already got
Melo. I
4
loved that.
points.
but
I was like, apparently
just
I have a bit of a reputation. And then I remembered it's like, we make a pick every 8 weeks. It's like, yeah, I guess if I pick Toy Story movies 2 weeks in a row, that's that's
You got an 8-sided die
that's
there,
over
Matt?
3
I
months,
do. Do you
4
want me to
months.
just
So it's
roll
like,
the thing?
okay,
This stupid
great.
thing?
I
Ooh.
understand.
I knew he'd have a
doing
D8.
great. Oh,
Gygax would be proud.
Mike Wilden, do you want to step aside and allow Matt Smith to roll this 8-sided die?
Ooh, that's a nice sack you got there.
I mean, I just finished.
Please
the
keep that
thing
in the
now,
final
There we
so
go.
yeah, cool.
Yes.
Roll the damn dice.
That's going to be the cold open.
Here, I have the thing.
There you go.
Oh, all right.
There's more than
There you go.
8 on there.
That's
isn't there?
way too many.
Oh, no, maybe not.
It's a little blurry. We can't see, but the first.
We were getting some
Yellow.
frame jutter.
Still can't read it.
There,
Brian. Nope.
it's Brian Larson.
That's not how
You can't do that, man. That's the whole point of this. You have to do 1 through 8, man.
Number 1 through 8. Matt, could
Thank you.
Jesus Christ, Matt, do the thing.
Okay.
I won.
roll the dice 1 through 8?
Do I need to prove it?
Yeah, I like this.
It's a 1.
That's a 1.
Awesome.
Your barbarian just axed himself
I'm
in the neck.
I'm not very good at D&D.
Okay, so as we did that, I just texted Nikki movie number 1. So while we're waiting, I will tell you guys, I made it very clear to her people are going to send between 1 and 3 movies. And I said, you pick one, and I gave her no reason whatsoever. Like, don't pick your favorite movie. Don't pick what you think you'd like to see, just whatever you want. So I have no idea how she went about picking these movies. And I guarantee you, she wouldn't tell me if I asked her. I think she's kind of enjoying sticking this to me.
And it's
So
also very
this-
clear that if somebody did send her multiple movies, it was 1 movie per person.
Correct.
Okay.
And
Because-
as a result, Brian was over the other night, and he brought up this possibility. What if 2 people gave the same movie? And she heard that, and I think she went, if that happened, I would reach out and tell you guys you have to pick something else, because we wouldn't want both, for example, Matt and Hilty thinking it was their movie while we were talking, because they each picked it. So I don't know if that happened, but it seems like it didn't happen unless she reached out to somebody and said, hey, pick another movie that's already been picked.
Or I think she said she would just wouldn't pick that movie.
Yeah, that'd be way
Right.
easier.
Right. So the pick is
That's what I'm
in.
curious about.
I got the
Yeah.
text, and for next week, we will be talking about the movie As Good as It Gets from 1997 with Jack
Nicholson,
Nicholson and what's her name?
Helen Hunt.
Well, we know it's not Tim.
Yeah.
Oh, look, you're already.
Or he's just doing really good
Or
job. at it.
maybe I decided to act that way. You don't know.
I love Kinnear and wanted one of those, so that's good.
Oh, you've always wanted it, Melo.
So
Well, there's lots of
Let-
people who
let-
would pick movies they've never seen because
let
they
the
want to see
games
movies they've never
begin.
seen.
right. And I will apologize for not telling you what the contest was as you picked your movies, but I didn't want you to pick something that would be so far out of your, out of your comfort zone just to try and throw people. I wanted it to be movies that you guys would pick. So along those lines, if anything, I put myself in a bad position because I picked movies that I think you guys would recognize as something that I would pick. So I don't want to be accused of trying to set the game up.
Well, that puts you in a no, it's a neutral position because say that scenario happens, we know it's a Tim movie. We all pick Tim. We all get a point,
Oh, good point. Yeah,
right? It doesn't really affect much.
Yeah. That's true. But I've been accused before of trying to set things up so I win. So I wanted to make sure that wasn't on the table.
But it
How'd you
wasn't.
land on this game? How'd this come to be?
I'm sorry. You'll have to repeat that. There's a lot of ice work going on. Would
How
you
did
like to
this-
take a guess who went into the ice maker?
No,
Across the
yeah, I
bedroom
figured
to the
it out.
kitchen.
I'm looking at you and Dan, and I put two and two together. How did this come to be? What was the impetus for this?
Balderdash. He played the game last weekend.
We keep saying it's not a contest. It's not a contest. And I was thinking sooner or later we need a contest. And the other group is doing something that's somewhat similar, but it's not a contest. And it just happened to kind of come up this way. So I was like, I think this is my contest. I think this is what we're going to do. So maybe this will be terrible, but maybe it'll be fun.
If it's anything like your organization and giving directions, then yeah, it might be terrible.
He got it all in before
He did it. He did it. It was the mute was too late. I'm not at my normal desk where I can normally mute like I want to. But this may start a new editing process for the podcast where I might actually need a sound that comes up and says mute, and people listening will understand why you no longer hear the person finish their sentence.
Ding.
Thank you.
Ooh, I think I like the ding, but I would rather go with the Jango Fett Sonic detonator, because it gets quiet.
I was just thinking the word mute, but I like that we're think tanking this thing through. That's nice.
Mute.
All right, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
think Matt wants to be the sound.
Yeah.
Use either ding or mute from
We just
Matt.
recorded it. We just recorded it. That's possible.
Yeah, the Chewbacca sound from the BTB shorts was actually Matt.
Yep, I forgot to tell you guys. Yeah, that was actually me.
Yeah.
Do it.
Well, that'll put a pin in Superman and put a bow on Superman and put a cape on Superman. Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time. Good night.
Ding. Mute.
That'll do it for this episode of the BTB Movie Club podcast. Thank you as always for listening. We know we enjoyed ourselves. We hope you did too. Hey, we are partnered with the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. Please stop by and enjoy some of their excellent material. And have yourselves a good week.